Hey, hello, and welcome to the show. It's me, JP. It's time for John Park's workshop. I'm here in the workshop, and you're there in the chat. So thank you for stopping by. We have people over in our YouTube chat. Hello to Beata Graf Abdelhagen and Dave Odessa. Probably more people to come soon. And that's that right there. And then we've also got our Discord chat. So if you're not in YouTube and over there, and you are maybe in Twitch or one of those places that doesn't seem to have an active chat, you can head over to our Discord, which is that right there, and you'll find that at adafruit.it/discord. Look for that live broadcast chat channel. As you can see, we have an array of handsome channels that you can participate in, but that's the one that's most active during the live stream, and that's the one that I'm checking out. So hello to Netventive, who just showed up over on YouTube, and hello over on our Discord to C. Grover and Some Nice, Dan Coliano, Paul Cutler, Thin Man, Starman. Hello, 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 hello. Hi, everybody. It is a sunny day. Me too. Thin Man said it's sunny. I say it's sunny. So let's see what else. I'm going to get a sip of water here. New water bottle. I got that for $1 and some because I had a bunch of credits over at REI and a coupon too. So I'm excited about my teal water bottle. Let's try that again. There we go. So let's talk about what we're doing here today. So I have a new coupon code for you if you want to go over to the Adafruit shop and save some money. You'll be able to use that for 10% off. I'll do a... Oh, did I set this up? No, you'll watch me set up the recap of the product pick of the week. Did I do that? No, but that's not ready. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. We won't do that at all today. I might talk about it, but we won't show a video because I forgot to make one. I've got a CircuitPython Parsec for you. I did not forget to do that. And I've got a new project I'm kicking off that was based on a thrift store find, and I'm super excited about it, so I want to share that with you. Oh, what else? I might have other things, but those are the big ones. So let's kick it off with a coupon code. If you want to save some money over in the Adafruit shop, the coupon code today is portable. You can port it. It is portable. Portable will save you 10% off in the Adafruit shop. Portable. Portable. I don't think caps matters, but I put it in caps. Thought that was more legible. Here is the Adafruit shop. So if you head over there and pull up my window for that, take a look in this new products section. You can see we've got these snap-on enclosures for the terminal block BFF. I love them. Look, I've got one right here. I think I'm going to add one to my little leverless controller. Hide me. There they are. Lovely little, I think, SLA printed snap fit case that still gives you some access to the pins and screws on the top, and then wires can come out the sides, USB on one end, stemma QT on the other. A Ruiz Brothers design, lovely little case, and $499.95 will get you that, except it's 10% off, so $495 minus 49. $495 minus 0.49, yeah. We've also got these red aluminum servo arms if you're doing some very fancy servo stuff. Some pogo pins. If you click on view all new products, you'll see, ooh, look, some coming soons. Pimeroni badge wear. You won't be able to use the coupon on that, but that's cool. Tufty badge. There are a few of these really nice big 128 by 64 RGB LED matrix panels available, so you could get 10% off on those. That's nothing to sneeze at. And a number of little breakouts and things. Some of them are out of stock, but a few of them are still available. You can see here breakout sensors, different sensors here. So that's the coupon code. That'll save you money. Go get some stuff. Also, if you are interested in free stuff, I know I am, you can go to adafruit.com/free. These are enticements for spending more of your hard-earned cash. So if you spend $99 or more, you're going to get a free PCB coaster added to your cart or to your package. If you order a $149 or more, you're going to get the free coaster as well as a KB2040 microcontroller, perfect for keyboard projects, MIDI projects, game controller projects. The $199 or more level will get you free UPS ground shipping in the continental United States as well as the KB2040 plus the coaster. They all stack up. So I haven't heard anyone say you can't get all that stuff along with your coupon, so I'm going to keep saying you can unless someone tells me otherwise. I haven't tried it, but I think you can. So that's some free stuff over at Adafruit. Please go check it out. So yeah, I did not do a video for the a 1 minute recap, or 1 minute recap of the product pick of the week show. The product pick of the week this week, do I still have it over here, is this lovely little super high precision temperature sensor. That right there. Oh, it's so bright you can't see it. How close can we get? Not that close. Backing away. There it is. That's not helpful. But yeah, the TMP TMP 199. It's a Texas Instruments chip, very high precision temperature sensor. Those were the product pick this week. So people who got them during the show, quite a few did, got them at 50% off. So please tune in on Tuesdays because the savings are tremendous and they are short-lived. They just exist during the confines of the show. After the show, we go back up. We don't do any rain checks or things like that. So you gotta get it while it's hot. Okay. So next up, let's dive into a CircuitPython Parsec. Okay, for the CircuitPython Parsec today, I wanted to continue talking about these character LCD shields. And last week we did custom characters. Now I want to show you how you can use custom characters to create little animations. So as you can see here, I've got my LCD backpack plugged into a Metro RP2040. And you'll see when this starts up, it's going to loop back around in a second. I'm going to print 8 characters, and these are custom characters, these little glyphs. They don't exist in memory by default, but you can create up to 8 characters and store them in what's called the CG RAM on the chip for this matrix driver. The first thing I'm doing is creating them and displaying them, but then I'm having them loop in the same spot on screen, which gives us the effect through persistence of vision of a little animation. And these are great for little progress bar types of things. You can see on mine, once it loops back around again, I've got essentially a little chase animation around the borders of the character, as well as a little sort of Larson scanner style back and forth. So the way this works inside of CircuitPython, first of all, I'm adding the character LCD library, and I'm implementing that over I2C. I'm telling the display it has 16 columns and 2 rows. That's the size of this display. And then creating the object right here. Then I've got this series of frames. So each of these represent the last 5 bits of a byte, and we have 8 of these bytes per character. So where you see a 1, I have a pixel lit up, and where you see a 0, I don't. So you can see here, this is the shape of this letter, kind of elongated, and I have the left corner and top filled in with 1s, as well as the bottom has a 0 and then a series of 1s, so that's what gives us a little space, and that 0 is what's going to be traveling back and forth. So I've got 8 of these, and these, as you can see by the letter, the position of the 1s, these represent this little chase animation crawling around I'm just using the top 5 lines of the character so that we don't get a kind of weird sped up rectangle. I just wanted to do it in a little square. So I'm using 5 across, 5 down. And then have that extra space down at the bottom to wiggle back and forth. So we create this little set of characters, and then we're creating a list called slots, and these are going to contain the memory slots of those 8 little glyphs. 0 through 7 is their hex codes. I'm clearing the display, and then I'm writing the little character animation line up at the top. Then in the main loop, the first thing I do is I print each of those characters one after another. So we'll see that happen in a second here by saying create character. And so I'm creating a character in memory with the index 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th. And I'm printing each of those as I created. Then in the, I go ahead and clear that, and then in the main animation loop of this, I'm running through the range of those glyphs, and on each frame of the animation, I'm casting the glyph that we create based on that table up at the top into that first position. You'd think you could go and print 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, which you can do if you're doing them sequentially, but due to weirdnesses of this display and the \x00 being looked at as an escape character, I'm sure there's a way to figure it out, but I couldn't. So I'm just creating that first position each time so that we don't go and then interrupt it. And so you can, I'll put this code online, you can grab this, play around with it, change the animations out, and then see if you can also make this a little simpler. But this is one way to get this working, and you can see we can print regular text along with the animation, and there's no flickering, which is really nice. We're just updating that one position right there. And so that is how you can create a character animation, text character animation, inside of CircuitPython on the LCD character backpack. And that is your CircuitPython Parsec. My mic back, there we go. In fact, I just wanted to show you, I'll change some of this in real time just so you can see there's no tricks up my sleeve. So if we go back up to the character creation up here, if we want to, let's say, add a second line down at the bottom that's just always going to be lit, and maybe we'll move the dots in opposition down here. So first I'll start with this, and I'll resave that. So we'll see these prints. So now I can see what I've created, which is kind of nice actually. Having a little more on screen helps with these. I tried just using a single dot, and it's so briefly on there that it almost doesn't register. But now you can see I've got kind of a little meatier chunk there. Let me see how close we can get with the focus on this. Yeah, we can focus pretty close. So there you'll see I've now added a second line just by going up into this text here. Oh, and in typical fashion, I forgot about this. That's really weird. Zed did not do this on another computer, but on this computer, maybe it's a different version. It has some sort of formatting turned on. It's probably one of these foul things here. So it's reformatted this so it's no longer going to look like what I want it to look like. However, it will make this little bottom line animation easier. So watch this. I'll go ahead and move a 0 kind of in the opposite direction of the main animation. Oh, I'm getting suggestions. Let me turn off. No predictions, no diagnostics. None of this. How about none of the nothing? Will it stop? Let's see. Nope. I don't know how you turn off those suggestions. Right. I'll go here, 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 and back. So that's because of this reformatting. That's the second of the bottom line of my glyphs. So now we should see when this reloads. Let's see, save, is it saving? There we go. So now we have a second line moving in opposition to the first line. It'll look more obvious when it's animated. There it goes, whoop, whoop. So good for computery looking stuff. If you need your machine to look like it's thinking, you can do some nice little blinking lights kinds of things here. Uh-oh. This reminded someone of something. Is it Clippy? Kind of is Clippy. I'm so scared. What's the animation going to be? Oh, hi, Clippy. Okay. We really are at the Clippy singularity now, aren't we? Isn't all of the LLM chat Clippy? Let me format that for you. Oh, I get it. Yeah, it's so helpful. Now I see what you're driving at. Yes, my Zed, don't format that for me. I liked it. All right, so that is that. Let's move on. I'll put the code as I set up in. There's a blog post I put up on Friday that includes the CircuitPython Parsec video as well as a pointer to a repo where I put that code. The sloth here. I want to brag for a second and say a good friend of mine, Darren Butters, was one of the lead animators on that sloth for Zootopia. A very funny guy. And apparently he'd spent a lot of time at the DMV, so he had guidance. All right, so next up, we're going to dive into this project. Do I have anything else of importance? Let's do let's do two things. Okay, first of all, I think I figured out what was wrong with my Sparkle Motion WLED I was trying to demo last week. I was trying to do the new 2D animation stuff, and the board was not accepting my updates. I refreshed my browser after the show, and suddenly it got it. So there was just a need for the browser to be refreshed after I installed the drivers for this. So I was able to reinstall, clear it out, put version, what are we at, 16, fresh on there, and I'm going to go ahead and let me bring up a browser window. Let's see, it should work from here. I'm going to plug this in. So this is a set of 4 RGB LED matrices. I'm going to plug it just into USB power off of a power brick so that I don't brown out my computer, because it's going to draw quite a bit of current. And let me lift the camera up a little bit. And share. How am I going to do this? Let's do a down cam under there. Hide me. Okay, I'm hidden. We can see that. Let me move this over. Shrink that a little bit. And focus that. Okay, so here's my LED panel, and put a little version of me up at the top. There we go. So with that plugged in, with the Sparkle Motion plugged in, WLED running on there, I've got a web server essentially running on the Sparkle Motion at this address. Great. And so first of all, let me make this bigger for myself. There we are. Usual WLED reality check. It's RGB. Awesome. I'm going to adjust my exposure on this camera. That's a lot better. And so then, we can run all the usual fun patterns and things, chases and black hole animations and so on. Let me make it a little brighter. But one of the big changes in, or updates, additions in WLED are these 2D tools. So I'm going to click on, if you can see where I'm hovering with my mouse over here, I've got under the color palettes, or above the color palettes, under the color picker, this thing called Pixel Forge. So I'm going to open Pixel Forge. So Pixel Forge brings together a few different tools. And one of them is a GIF animation uploader. So as you can see, you can upload a single GIF. So there I've got a little Lars going. Here's a very tiny reduced version of an animation I had created for a matrix panel a few years ago. But this tool will import the GIF, allow you to crop it to the proper ratio and scale, and then upload it to the WLED running microcontroller. So I don't need the browser window opening. It just gets pushed up to this panel. So I could close the browser window here, no problem. It's just going to run this. I don't think there are advanced tools for things like a slideshow of GIFs or anything like that, but if you do have an iPad open or iPhone open, you could pick on different images to show, which is pretty cool. This was a little rotating sports car GIF that I found online. I don't actually know who made it. Same with this knight. Sorry to the author. I do not remember where that came from anymore. So that's one thing here, just uploading images. Another is a scrolling text. So we can type in, let's say, JP Workshop and click OK. That's really nice and easy. We get scrolling text. You can adjust things like give the text a gradient. So now I've got this nice gradient in here. You'll notice there is a preview animation inside of the window, which is nice. It doesn't quite run at the same speed. Maybe it's a trick of the ratio, but you can speed it up, and that will speed it up on the real display as well. Slow it down. I like adding these trails. Let's see if I can add enough trail for you to see it. There we go. So now we get some nice ghosting trails there. And you can also pick among some uploaded fonts. And I think there's a tool in here for uploading your new fonts. Now, one of the nice things about this too is there are some tokens available here for things like clock and calendar. So if I wanted to say JP's Workshop and the day and month, how about? That will parse that $DDMM into the date and time if it has it. Actually, I don't know if this one's set up properly for that. Yeah, there we go. Okay. So there's the month and the day, or day and month rather. So yeah, this is a neat little, mostly time-based things that you can add here. Here are the custom fonts that are available. The slider just goes between the first 5, and I don't remember how you add the fonts. And then in other tools, you can add tools to the WLED instance that you're running, as well as makes these front ends available on the web page. So here's a neat one called Pixel Paint. And let me go ahead and, let's see, I think I can fill, or let's make a square on here. Boop. So drawing pixels right onto your WLED display, super cool. There's a line tool. There is a circle tool. Like so. And I think you can do some anti-aliasing even. So let's see. I want to clear it, and let's do a straight line. I'll make it red, and I'm going to turn the hardness down. I think this will give us some anti-aliasing, won't it? No, it doesn't work with that line very well. Let me try just with the, I thought it worked with the paintbrush. Oh, there we go. Yeah, you can see kind of fading on there. Let me clear it again. Whoa. Why is that filling? Is that the fill tool? Yeah, that's why. Here we go. Brush tool. Okay, I'm going to turn the hardness. So there you can see I'm getting some anti-aliasing around the edges, which is just a dimmed version, essentially, of the pixel that allows us to avoid some of the stair stepping. And if I go back, other tools, there's a video lab. I'm not going to mess with that here, but that will turn video into GIF and put it up to the board. Here's the font factory for creating fonts, and the pixel art editor, which I haven't touched before. Tool converts any image code into JSON WLED format. Okay, so that's, you can probably use the GIF uploader for that, but if you wanted to convert an image to display right on WLED, you could use this too, I suppose, but I haven't tried it, so I shouldn't make up things. Anyway, those are some of the new features that I thought were pretty cool dealing with 2D panel arrangements. If you look in my configuration here under 2D configuration, here you can see I've told it I have 4 panels, and essentially you tell it the dimensions of the panels and where each starting location is on the physical as well as the logical arrangement of them. So there's 0, 1, 2, and 3, and I'm not using a serpentine pattern just because that's how these pixels are arranged. But that is all neat stuff here in WLED, and I got it working. So, yay! Go check it out. And like I said last week, I believe Aaron St. Blaine is working on a guide about all kinds of new updates inside of WLED, so you can go check those out. All right, next up, I'm gonna go ahead and unplug that. I want to show you my thrift store find, why I got it, and what I'm planning to do with it. So we'll head back over to the workbench in a second, but I'm going to carry it over here. So this is probably familiar to most people. These were really popular a few years ago. It is a Crosley brand, and there's some other brands of them. Super stylish, fairly low quality record player. It's smaller than a LP record, so the LP record hangs off the edges, so you don't close it, but you leave it open, put a record on there. I think it can do 33 and 45 RPM, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, there's a switch and 75, or 78, sorry. Switch for that, and this one has auto stop on and off, and a little insert for your 45s, power volume, headphone out. On the back, it's got audio out, stereo audio out, aux in, so you can use this as a speaker, and power, which uses what I think it's a 9-volt DC. So I got it for $12. If you can read that, I got it for $12 at the thrift shop, and I actually got at a Goodwill. I got 2 of them. The other one was $22, so there were different people pricing on different days, but it's still not bad. And I've looked, and they kind of hover around this $20, $30 range online. Maybe cheaper if you find ones that are known to be broken. You may find them at yard sales, thrift stores cheaper. But I had seen at least 1 or 2 people build cyber decks in these, so putting a keyboard on top or resting in a little tray. Single board computer inside, monitor or monitors of some kind, LED panels up on the top. So I was thinking about making those, and I may still, but I've been building so many arcade joysticks that I decided I wanted to try to make a little portable retro gaming piecade kind of thing in a box. And one of the things that I thought might be interesting is to see if I could reuse the speakers in there. So what I want to do is head over to the workbench and show you what's inside this thing and how to proceed. So let's go to oh, let me shrink this one, sorry, real quick. There we are. And you'll have to tell me, I'll try to keep an eye on the chat, you have to tell me if the mic I just turned on over there that points at the workbench is getting wind noise from the AC. I think it's not, because I have something blocking it, but let me know. Oh no, this camera is not working again. What is happening with this one? This happened last time. I'm going to shut this camera off. Wow. Yeah. Okay. Well, you're not going to see me at that position there, because this is kind of frozen. I'm going to power off that video converter. This one might be, it's running so hot. This one might be dying. Okay, let me turn that back on. Let's go to camera, and I'll put my face here while I'm trying to fix this so you can see what I'm doing. So what is up with this main cam is super broken right here. What is your deal? How about get rid of that? How about add it back in? Video capture. No, it's yeah, it's all screwed up. Okay, well, you just won't see me over there from that camera. I don't know. You might be able to see me from this one. Oh, are you guys seeing image and I'm not? That's interesting. Tell me right now. I'm standing in front of a camera, and in my feedback in my monitor, it's just a still image of a bunch of CRT televisions, and I am not standing in front of this. So tell me if you see me standing in front of a camera. I'm standing in front of this, so if you're not seeing a hand on the case, I think it's the down shooter that's working. Yeah, that cam's frozen. Let's go. This. Yeah, so you see the 3 cameras right now. I'm live in this one, I'm live in this one, and I'm a ghost in that one. So that is a mystery to me, so I'm going to just hide that one. Okay, so let's head over here. You know what? It's okay, because the one that really matters is the overhead cam. So I'm heading over here. I do want to bring up my chat so that I can see if any other fun things happen. Oh yeah, look, I'm way over there in the corner, probably way out of focus, but at least you know there's still a living person there. Broadcast chat. There we are. I'm a vampire as far as that camera's concerned. Okay, so here we go. Here's this thing, this silly thing. And this one I haven't touched. The 2 models I got are nearly identical, except for over here on the right. And I'm sorry, sorry if this image is a little dark, but my camera controls are hard to get to, and it's in a white balance mode right now when I reach up and grab the dial that usually I can grab for the aperture. Okay, so this is one knob on this one. The other one that I have that I'll show you in a second has 2 knobs. I forget honestly what they think that's for. Let's see. Volume and pitch. Okay, so you can adjust you can increment the speed a little bit on the other one. But otherwise, they seem nearly identical. The other one also has a Bluetooth feature, so it can act as a Bluetooth speaker. So what we get with these is turntable, there's a little retention, little E-clip to pull off, lift this off. I'm going to leave this one alone because I want to take pictures of the process when I do the learn guide for this. But essentially, we can pull out a little MDF woodish vinyl wrapped tray and then unscrew the turntable and motor and electronics and pull them out. And then we're left with an almost empty box with a couple speakers on it. So this also is pretty interesting. This little back panel comes off with a couple screws from the inside, and I decided to 3D print a replacement for it that gives me the space I need to plug in USB-C power for a Raspberry Pi and USB-C power for the HDMI display that I'm going to put in the lid. So that's the fresh one. I'm going to put that aside. And it's not a full cooking show because this one is only partly cooked, and we'll do some stuff together, but I want to show you where it's at now. So first of all, it's very top heavy right now. So you'll see there is my monitor. This is a little 14-inch HDMI monitor. Cost $50 on Amazon, and it works beautifully for our needs. It's got HDMI input to a mini HDMI jack and USB-C for power. And then you can see here what I've done. It's a little hard to see because it's the same color. I've got a 3D printed inset piece that I modeled and 3D printed. Actually, I had a, where's my version of it? I'll show you a couple things here. So this is the one I 3D printed, which I had to chop some corners off because my pre-printer bed was too small. But my good friend Brian, who lives just a couple streets away, has a bigger printer and did this for me. I hope you can see this. It looks quite dark to me. So this is where my joystick, buttons, and a little space for the cabling go. If I get that out of the way, this is what was left after removing the turntable parts. So I'm going to go ahead and show you those. In fact, let me close this up again for a second. So this is turntable. I'm missing the little disc. I think it's over there somewhere. But that's the turntable. There's a little belt that drives the spindle that the record's on, or the platen that the record's on. There's not much to it. Everything is nicely modular and pluggable. So I was actually considering keeping this and wiring my own, not that one, this, which is what comes up out the side with the knobs and an input, and wiring up something else there. We'll see. But anyway, that's what I pulled out. This is my replacement. This is not the rounded one, but this is my replacement that basically fits that same footprint so that I can use the same free space without having to cut the MDF, which is horrible. It just makes a mess, tears out, throws sawdust everywhere. So I just left the hole as is in there, and then worked with this, which happened to already be a pretty nice space for doing joystick and buttons. You can see here to mount the joystick, I've got I made some little supports with. Let's see if I can turn this light up right here. That's better. Maybe. There we go. So these supports with, I just got 2 of them in here, but I'll put in 4 M4 threaded inserts and then be able to screw the joystick in from underneath, because I got tired of the technique of putting the screws through the top. It's annoying. I wanted a flat surface here, so I finally took the time to do it right and mount the joystick from underneath, which is how it should be done. The reason any of this is really possible with a joystick, which would normally destroy your monitor when you close the lid, is because you can buy detachable joystick shafts for these standard Sanwa style joysticks. This is one from the Adafruit shop. I've just replaced this piece here and added this. So that's about $30. That gets you this really nice quick release. It's a little spring loaded, it's got some bearings that grip it. Works great, has standard, it actually doesn't come with a ball. So this is the piece you get, but it's a standard size of insert or threading for a ball, so you can put that on there. So this means we can actually close the thing. I'm still coming up with where the right place to store this will be, but some sort of integrated storage for this, and then when you open it up and go to play, we got that. So let's do some putting together. Well, we'll pull a little bit more apart and then some putting together of this one. So I'm gonna show you so far for this monitor. All I've done is modeled and printed some brackets that press fit it into the lid. I may go ahead and screw those into the. This is some short screws into the sides of these brackets would be a good idea. It's not easy to get out. Let me pull the brackets out. There we go. So these are these little parts I printed to hold that. Here is what the monitor looks like. Now, one of the key things here is finding a monitor where the connectors are not on the very edge. If you look at a lot of these cheap monitors that you can get on Alibaba or AliExpress or Amazon, they will have connectors along the edges, which means it's not actually going to work unless you get real creative with right angle connectors and stuff. So this one was particularly good, and I'll put links in my guide to this one and others like it. But that's the HDMI and that's the USB-C. So these are essentially laptop monitors with a little driver board. Probably lives right there. A couple little speakers back there that I'm not going to use. They do have some threaded inserts here. I thought about mounting them with that through the top, but again, I didn't want to screw holes through the top of it. Thankfully, this all works without needing to access any of the monitor controls. I'm using Recall Box, which is a distribution of emulation station, but it should work with Batocera and RetroPie, I'm guessing, because I think they're all front ends for the same stuff. But if you wanted to, you could get like a bare display that has separate controls and mount that. This seemed like a nice way to go, and quite cheap. So there we go. Cables will run up through there. I thought about doing a panel mount here, but it's just more stuff. So I think just running these through here, maybe I'll add a little rubber kind of grommet connector thing there. So that's where buttons will go. This is what comes out when you, there's 4 screws holding this into these plastic supports in the box. This is an available 2-position switch. So on this one, this is what goes between Bluetooth and phono. I believe on-off is, yeah, integrated into the knob, the volume knob. I think it clicks it off. So this one has a little damage on the vinyl, probably during installation. I think someone just squished the vinyl up as they put it together. Maybe I can razor that and fix that up a bit. But that's what you get, a little cheap MDF thing. They did route this out here for, I think the headphone jack fit up in there. So this is this set of connectors that was in here with the knobs on the outside. But that's what we got there. And oh, looks like Todd said that he's finding these on eBay for $25 in the untested, unused state, which is perfect. All you want is the case. Here you can see there's my replacement back panel. I printed it in pink for fun there. And then I have 2 of these USB-C pass-through connectors, which we have on the Adafruit site. That allowed me to use the USB-C power cable that came with that monitor. You could, of course, go to like little sexy ribbon cables and stuff, but I'm trying to make this as easy as possible with sort of normal-ish parts. My German Shepherd has been shedding near this because I had that open and on the floor. Here's my HDMI, so I need HDMI mini for the monitor and HDMI micro for the Raspberry Pi. And I didn't have a cable like that, but I did have the meat in the middle here with full-size HDMI, so that might be solved with a better cable. But that's how my video is going out. And then right now I was just using this very slim little USB-C, USB-C for the power here. I may go to a beefier but short cable. I don't think I have one right here right now, but I've got some nice little beefy short USB-C cables for power. Now, for the Raspberry Pi, a couple things. Let me zoom in. I was pleasantly surprised by the fact that the built-in speakers use a fairly standard JST SH, I think, connector, and they plug right into this Adafruit speaker bonnet, which is a I2S decoder amplifier. So click, and that just worked for stereo. I just had a little bit of setup, ran a little curl script, I think it was, and a shell script to add support for the decoder on this speaker bonnet. I forget which one it is. I am, however, thinking I may ditch this speaker bonnet and instead go to the arcade bonnet, which will allow me to hook up, I think, all the buttons and joystick I need. It has a mono audio out with just one of these screw terminals, so I should be able to I think just plug them both into that, or just use one speaker, but I think I should be okay plugging them both into that. We'll find out. And then under there I have the little cooler, a little active cooler. I know I'm blocking the fan here, but it's the best I could do unless I move the bonnet off to the side with like a IDF cable kind of thing. It might not be a bad idea to keep it flatter in here. But there's a ton of space to work with, even with arcade buttons in. They still don't impede this from kind of being anywhere I want. So I may make a little connection, little 3D printed thing, or maybe screw some standoffs up from the bottom, plug that onto there so it doesn't go anywhere. We do have other options for joystick, so for testing, and I'll get this up and running and test it right now. I can just plug in an external joystick over USB. I've also gotten one hooked up over Bluetooth with it, so you've got options, especially during testing. It's not bad to have more controllers on these. And but yeah, eventually I think it'll either be something like a KB2040 and GP2040CE firmware to run all my joysticky stuff, or that bonnet, if that'll work. I think that may, and that's a GPIO pin per connection. So let's reassemble this. So you can see here I've got my little pass-through, 2 of those. This is some overspray from the factory when they spray adhesive on these things and then vinyl wrap it. So I can plug this guy. Let's go upside down with that. Let's go there. Let's go there. And this one is power to the monitor, so I'm just going to go right there. This is my USB. You do have USB, you have 2 USB outs on these Raspberry Pis. The one closer to the power plug, USB-C power plug, is the primary monitor, the 0 monitor. So there's going to be my HDMI, and you could definitely, and I may have to, optimize cables so you don't have too much of a mess in here. But for now, that's what I'm going with. And let's see, I've got my speaker plugged in, so now I can connect up. Let's go ahead and put these together. So here's my MDF. Here's this. It's a tight fit, and I've messed up the MDF a little right here just because I'm iterating on this design and trying different sizes to get it snug. But oops, it actually doesn't need to be that snug because we have these posts based on the way the original was connected. I've got screws that can go here with a washer and essentially snug up. I got this just about a half a millimeter below the surface level there, so I can snug those upward. And actually, I was using the ones that came with it. Let me find one of those. So these are these kind of, what are these called? Flanged screws that I'm just going to put a couple of them in right now, and that'll snug that up nicely against the case. One of the secrets to this was importing my parts from McMaster-Carr for my fasteners and my threaded inserts so that I could get very exact measurements off of them. I just put the models into there rather than measuring stuff out, actually. Let me get one more of those screws. And I'm not going to, I promise you, I'm not going to wire up the whole thing right now on camera. I will pop some buttons and joystick through there just for looks, but we'll control it with an external controller since I don't have, we don't have the patience for that. So here is, let's do, I'm going to open this up so I have a place to rest this. I'm going to do the joystick. So pull off the quick release. Set that there, and I just got a, did that pop out? Screw this in tighter. Oh, you know what? I might, did I break something in there? That's not connected. Oh yeah, I snapped off the, I snapped off the post. I mismeasured a little. Okay, we'll need a new print and a new strategy for that piece. So I just got an order in of these little 6mm M4 screws that I want to use to connect my joystick to the threaded inserts there. Just need 2 of these. That was about $7 for 100 of them or something like that. And those happen to be hex head. Hey, good. Okay, I measured right in that case, so those work well. Okay, leave that like that. And then I have a little box of buttons. Pop some of those through. I won't do them all, I'll just do it for effect, but this is these little happy little snap click. Well, I forgot one somewhere. I don't have enough in there. This is, by the way, another one of these. This is a pass-through for USB-A on the other side. I'm not using this for anything, but that up in this corner was kind of another option I was thinking about for doing that, USB-C and HDMI. And then these will be these little buttons for select, home, start, that kind of stuff. Put that out of there. And I'm going to run my cables up and through. Don't need that much. But the nice thing I think about this, using this type of pass-through, is that you don't have to worry about strain relief on your power cord because it's detachable from the back. So if it gets pulled, it's not touching anything on the interior, which is good. And I may do some strain relief for these HDMI and USB-C cables, but it's probably not all that necessary. So if I zoom back out here, you can see this is click, click on there, and that's how you'll be able to play. The monitor then, I'm going to go ahead and plug HDMI, USB-C, tuck those in a bit, and then I've got my little spacers here I printed. Is that right? Yep. So just have it abutting right up against this little driver board area here. And another one on the other side. Push this in. Remove that excess slack, and you'll see this actually just folds up and, well, except for my joystick, right? This cable just folds up and closes. So no problem, we've got everything but the joystick fits in there nicely. So now let's see if I can, I'm just going to tilt this down, it's just what it wants to do anyway. Oh, I will have to, do have to power it, so let me plug in. By the way, right now I've got just the two USB-C wall warts. These are these nice 3 amp Raspberry Pi ones. They're not that expensive. I was actually talking with Todd about this. He said maybe get a beefier USB-C wall wart that has 2 USB-C ports on it, and then you can have just one thing plugged into the wall and 2 cables. I'm going to keep it simple. I think a lot of times when people are doing this type of project, they'll end up with a Meanwell power supply inside the box, and then be able to run multiple things off of it, which is definitely a great way to go. But I am trying to keep it as simple as I can, so I won't do that. So let's open this back up like that, so you can see it. There we go. And I'm just going to plug in my 2 USB-C. So that's the boot up screen of the monitor. And that's the boot up video of Recalbox, which I think I turned the UI music volume down low to like 0. So you should only hear game music, but maybe I'll turn that back up. Now, as you'll notice right now, I don't have anything plugged in. There's a chance that this PlayStation controller that I hooked up over Bluetooth earlier will get recognized. So you can see, I think it's looking for or finding, yeah, I found it, okay. So pretend that you're just over here using this, but actually I'm lying. I'm using this controller right now because nothing's hooked up. But this is the, if you go to the Raspberry Pi etcher, what's their thing? Raspberry Pi install app tool thing, the thing that writes imager, maybe that's what it is. Recalbox is one of the options. There's actually 2, maybe, I can't remember what the other one is. Maybe it's RetroPie, but there's a couple of sort of choices there to just open up the official Raspberry Pi tool, go to the images other page, and then bring up Recall Box. And this is a fairly stock install of that, so you get a bazillion emulators on here, like 100 and some. There's Pico 8, there's Pokemon Mini, there's a Scum VM for old point-and-click games, Sega, Super Nintendo, Solaris, Thomson, TIC-80, which is kind of cute little virtual fantasy computer, a Vectrex, and so on. And all of these have free and I think in most cases open source games on them, so you can get up and running without having to put any ROMs on there, without having to break any laws. You can just play stuff. If we go, let's say, to the start menu, I can go over to the sound settings and I'll turn up the music volume. So that's coming out of the two speakers there in stereo on the little Crosley player. And just start something. Except pretend it's that. And you can pop back out with a little key combo of the home button and the start button. So this is really nice as far as these go. I hadn't used this one before. Let's see. Oh, let me back out. I'm just going to turn the volume down. Oops, wrong button. Just get rid of UI music. So there you go. That is the gizmo. That's the device. Todd made a suggestion, maybe a little clip near the monitor to hold the detached joystick. Yeah, I've been trying to figure out what to do with this guy. So there might not be enough space anywhere here to still close, unless I was thinking of adding another hole here to either set that in sideways and clip it in, or put a little receiver on the bottom, a little 3D printed thing, so I can click it in and it'll, as long as it's at about the halfway mark I measured, as long as half of that ball is below this surface, then this monitor will close without problem. Yeah, something like that might be nice if I have like the corresponding hole over here, but it's a fairly tight fit. The thing I've seen a lot, let's go ahead and close this up even while it's running. Yeah, I think maybe I want, oh, you know what? I ran the cables under here before. I think that worked better. Let's see, let's try to rearrange those. Did that work? Yeah, there we go. That's a little, yeah, that's a little better. So now they close a lot easier. Thing I've seen people do is put a little handle somewhere on the outside, a little thing for this to click into. It could be on the handle, who knows? But it's kind of cute. Shows what it is. But yeah, let me know your different suggestions for that. And I think we can just shut it down. So we go up to quit, shut down, it shuts it down. Other things we could do is put, I haven't decided exactly how to use this. I did set up a volume control that was a QT Py as a HID device, but then that was more complication, I think, than it was worth. I think maybe if I set up the joystick in input mode as keyboard, then volume controls are always available. So a lot of these emulators can just accept left, right, up, down, or WASD as being what the joystick is saying, and the buttons being A, B, X, Y, etc. So I think if I do that, I might be able to just use a key combo for volume, which would be great. Obviously, another thing we can do is create some sort of soft shutdown using GPIO and a script, but again, more complication than maybe I'll tackle right now for this version of this. So unplug this. Last thing I'll need to do from a figuring out 3D printable stuff standpoint, or maybe not 3D printable, this is a really loose hinge. It opens so far that it is top heavy. If I can get it to open, have a stop of some kind so it only opens this far, it'll work better. Or get a stiffer hinge or something like that. So I've seen some people just set up a little string and chain kind of thing. I've actually used that before for some builds, so maybe that. But let's take that monitor out of there for now. Other thing about these monitors that looked interesting from a hooking it up standpoint is it's got this little kickstand here. So I thought it could be cool to have some kind of like a whoop, pop out thing where that's hooked in and you can tilt it, but again, more than we need to do. In the down position, it's going to block these cables a bit unless I get right angle cables going. So I think just leaving it up also makes it have a fairly consistent thickness across the whole thing. There we go. That is the Crosley Attaché-Cade, as I'm thinking of calling it. What do you think? Comments? Is that cable in gooseneck? No. Which cable? Not sure. See, Grover, cut a large hole in the side and use push cabinet door receiver inside to pop out the handle. That'd be awesome. Yeah, there's so much cool stuff I could do if I just bust out the hole saw or the Forstner bit, but I think for the purposes of it being a approachable, reproducible Adafruit build for a Learn guide, I may really try. I wish there were another panel on it that I could replace with a 3D printed part, honestly. Oh, the monitor USB was quite stiff. VJP Cat says, yes, that is a fairly thick, stiff cable that came with it, so maybe if I go to... I do have my little box of things I thought maybe might be useful for this includes a thinner USB cable and some of these, you can't see that, some of these ribbon DIY USB and HID cables that we have. So this is a really thin ribbon cable, and then we have here's a HDMI cable that goes on the end of it. So that may be worth exploring, especially because I think we have those in mini and micro HDMI, so I could have just exactly the cable I need. Those aren't super durable, so as long as they're not bending, as long as it's, you know, got a radius to the bend, should be great, and maybe it could be like nice and protected going up in there. So yeah. The cyber fight deck needs handcuffs when in transit, said some nice. I'm carrying my arcade to a very important meeting. Yeah. All right. Well, that's the build. That's what I'm working on, and I'll keep you posted. I'll probably have some more to show you next week. And I think that's gonna do it. Where are we at? 2:11. That's a good time to stop. So I will mention once more, Portable is your coupon code today if you want to go pick up some stuff, maybe get a jump start on building your own little briefcase arcade. Who knows? That'll get you 10% off in the store. Burton R says, cool project. Got any games on your phone? Nope, but I do have an arcade in this briefcase. It's true. It's kind of the extreme of... You know, I've seen some people build these with like 8 lipo uh, batteries that are like this shape, but a little bigger and have button ends on them. I forget what that type is called. 8 of those. I don't know how much gameplay you get out of it. It can't be long. An hour? Be pushing it. So that is the downside of these. Is I don't think mine's going to be portable. You'll need 1 or 2 AC outlets to plug into. So you can't really use it on the plane, but it would be fun to use it on the plane. Okay, I think that is going to wrap it up. Thanks everyone so much for stopping by. I think we're going to have a Foamy Guy on Friday, deep dive. Could be Scott, but I think it was Foamy Guy on deck. And then there are, Foamy Guy Tuesday deep dive, maybe also. I should be back with another product pick of the week on Tuesday. I don't know 3 Hangouts if that's on or off next week because I believe there's some vacations being taken and so forth. So stay tuned to our blog, stay tuned to our Discord and other channels, and you should know what's going on as well as I do. All right, thanks everyone so much for stopping by. For Adafruit Industries, I'm John Park. This has been John Park's Workshop, and I will see you soon. Bye-bye.